Update 27.3 launched this week on PC, and a total of 5 hotfixes followed. DE has executed a script that has given players Scarlet Spear credits, with the amount that you receive being double that of your operation score, which is shown in the Operation tab on the World State window. You will receive the full double amount even if you had already spent some of your earned Scarlet credits. DE also explained reasons why players weren't receiving their credit bonuses at the end of Murex waves. Quote, "Let's look at what the main issues were. Players were receiving the wrong amount of victory payout respective to the rank which is earned in the flotilla. Players were earning victory payout for flotillas that didn't reach 100 out of 100 Murex driven away. Players who reached the 100 out of 100 Murex driven away that had jumped to a different flotilla and played a mission would not receive victory payout from the completed flotilla once the timer expired, and not all players received Scarlet credits upon manual extraction from a Murex raid mission." Now, all of these scoring issues were caused by what we call a desync between two factors: the player's Scarlet credit score not being uploaded at the end of the mission, and the flotilla's X out of 100 progress not matching what's recorded in the database. To address the desync issues across the board, we have changed Scarlet credit scores to be uploaded at certain checkpoints throughout both Ground Assault and Murex raid missions. This scoring upload change will keep the database and the flotilla more in sync to fix all the above issues. DE has also changed the way bonus victory payout is calculated to benefit all participating players in Murex wave victories. So, prior to the hotfix, victory payout was determined by your rank in the flotilla, that being 1, 2, or 3. After the hotfix, victory payout is calculated by your higher total score between ground or space missions multiplied by 2 with a cap of 10,000 credits. They've also made it so you will only get your victory payout if your flotilla reaches 100 out of 100 Murex Retreated. The examples they provided for this change follow. If you earn 3,000 points in the ground assault in a flotilla that drives the Murex away, you will earn 6,000 Scarlet credits as a victory payout. And if you earn 4,000 points in a Murex raid in the flotilla that drives the Murex away, you will earn 8,000 Scarlet credits as a victory payout. DE stated that this change aims to address some feedback they've received about players who join a flotilla in progress who aren't able to reach a rank in the flotilla before it reaches 100 out of 100 Murex driven away. Now for the Scarlet Spear changes across the hotfixes. The squad op link state is now displayed with their respective label above either the Murex or Earth holograms in the Scarlet Spear. They've reduced the 19 cost from 10 to 5 for the stance former blueprint. The health scaling on the Conjurix has been lowered, and its health will level out around the 10th Conjurix spawn. They also adjusted scaling on Conjurix health for 2 to 4 player squads. The Murex wave timer displayed in the Scarlet Spear instant selector is now displayed at the top of the screen. They have improved the UI and HUD messages for squad op links that require reinforcements from players in the flotilla. The distance at which you see emblems above players' heads in the flotilla has been reduced. Ral Jack owners now have the option to either host a Murex raid with their own Ral Jack or join another Murex raid. Squad op links that are in a good condition will now continue to show scanning kill codes as their status to avoid confusion. Your Scarlet Spear credit count will now display in Little Duck's store UI, similar to how credits are displayed. Players can now join ground assault missions before the deploy oplink stage or until the mission reaches 5 minutes. A tutorial prompt has been added to the center terminal in the Scarlet Spear and also in Little Duck. A number of tips were also added to Little Duck as well. Scarlet credits will now be displayed in the end of mission screens for both ground assault and Murex raids. Scarlet credits also appear in the Skirmish Complete UI when completing a Murex raid. The navigation panel now displays the Murex wave timer in the World Cycle section. As for the general changes, they have updated several damage type tips in the mission load screens and removed outdated tips. A Vault ability tip has also been moved to his arsenal tips. They also adjusted the Wholesome Your armor text position in Nova's Liverian to make sure it is readable in certain languages. Now for the Scarlet Spear fixes. DE fixed a crash when attempting to run Murex raids or ground missions in the Scarlet Spear. Client seeing a double fly-in cinematic when returning to the flotilla from a Murex raid. They fixed squad labels displayed above the ground and Murex missions in the flotilla overlapping each other. A script error related to sentient fighters attacking in the Murex raid. A crash for heavily loaded Scarlet Spear flotillas. A client crash that occurred when a host migrated and said client was punted back to their orbiter. A crash that could occur when loading into a Ral Jack or Murex raid mission, not receiving earned rewards in a Murex raid if you return to the flotilla manually, score discrepancies in the UI when a host migration occurred in the ground mission, cases of enemies not spawning after multiple mission runs with Iwoply, the Iwoply spawning more effects each time it gets spawned, and the duplicate effects being created for each client, the Iwoply state appearing as a file path in the flotilla squad labels above the Murex and Earth holograms, a ghost of flotilla players appearing in the Ral Jack upon starting a Murex raid, script errors that resulted in an inability to destroy an Iwoply if one was previously destroyed in the mission. They fixed a script error if the Ral Jack dies in the Scarlet Spear ground mission due to a destroyed Iwoply. They fixed an inability to invite other players in the same flotilla to form a squad. Fixes were made towards the Conjrex not spawning once you reach the waypoint in the ground mission. They fixed scoring discrepancies if a host migration occurred after the first Conjrex in the ground mission was completed. They fixed the Murex raid satellite waypoint not disappearing if a host migration occurred after driving away the respective Murex, a crash when trying to host a session to rejoin a Scarlet Spear flotilla, a crash when the errorless spawned, sentient ram sleds not being removed after warping between Ral Jack missions, a script error if sentient fighter reinforcements spawn just as the satellite is destroyed in a Murex raid. They fixed rejoining a flotilla that you were booted from, resulting in seeing no flotilla chat or players, making it appear that no progress is happening and you're deeply alone. They fixed cases where players were not receiving kill codes in a Murex raid even though players are uploading codes in the ground mission, names of Murex raid host players that have migrated, aka not in the mission, appearing in the Uplink reinforcement panel, which would allow flotilla members to waste a reinforcement. They fixed a script error when a join-in-progress player attempts to deploy their Uplink in the Murex raid. A potential fix was made towards clients having no Uplink UI in Murex raids. They fixed players being redirected to completed flotillas if the flotilla they tried to join filled up. You will now be redirected to a flotilla that has a score close to that which you selected. Clients having zero functional controls if they were talking to Little Duck and the host forced a Murex raid. They fixed the reconnect to lost flotilla prompt after a disconnect, always sending you to instance 0. They fixed sentient fighter spawns drying up in the Murex raid missions. They fixed all future Basmu damage dealing lifesteal to enemies if the heal on reload is interrupted. They fixed flotilla NPCs missing their helmets for clients when returning from a Murex raid. They fixed squad mates Ral Jack stealing the host Ral Jack name who invited them. They fixed cases of players still being connected to a flotilla when playing non-Scarlet Spear missions. They fixed a script error occurring when a Murex wave ends while you're in the orbiter or Lasette, and a script error related to the Conjrex health bar in the ground assault mission. As for the Ral Jack fixes, they fixed the heat accretion stat comparison not working in the Ral Jack configured panel, a script error when encountering the sentient anomaly point of interest, ram sleds trying to initiate a boarding party after the mission is complete, and a script error when entering a cruise ship via the Arcwing slingshot. For deferred rendering fixes, there was one, and they fixed Ice Spring not having any textures with deferred rendering enabled. For optimizations, they optimized out a number of small memory bloats in the type depth database to reduce the risk of crashes due to relocation. They fixed high GPU effects times when shooting the Prophet Taker's legs with the Imperator Vandal, and a crash that could occur on slow internet connections if you quit the game while loading into a relay. Now we go to the overall fixes across all 5 hotfixes to finish the video. DE fixed a DirectX 10 crash that occurred shortly after launching Warframe with deferred rendering enabled, a crash related to Sentinels. A potential fix was made for Vulkan drivers crashing the Steam overlay after it's injected into the launcher. They fixed the wreckage capacity limit pulse effect in the Ral Jack configure UI pulsing even when you aren't reaching the limit, incorrect reference lines in Nova's Laverian, a script error that occurred due to enemies attempting to flee while players are transitioning a level, a script error that resulted in forcing squad mates to log out. They fixed a crash when viewing Warframe ability videos in the arsenal, several types of crashes that occur when traveling to or from towns, relays, or dojos, operators not having correct body customizations or proportions, certain armor pieces not fitting correctly on companions. They fixed incorrect energy colors on the Nezha Yaksha helmet. They fixed the transport ships at the end of the rush mission and the shield drones having no hitbox, resulting in an inability to complete the mission, an inability to chat link stance former, a script error that resulted in a crash if a host migration occurred when you return to the orbiter from a survival mission, a script error occurring when loading into a mission while the pause menu was open, a script error when attempting to fish. They fixed a client-side crash that could occur after a host migration, They fixed operator mobility ceasing to function if the Yanaru Void Shadow was used with Zato earpiece equipped. They fixed the client's inability to use context actions after a Plains of Eidolon bounty capture target was captured. The Arcwing Rush mission drones protecting the cargo ships appearing unlit. They fixed missing user is offline error messages when trying to open a private message to someone. A script crash that could occur if you tried to escape your new Kuvalich by quitting the game when en route back to your orbiter. A script error in the dojo contribution screens. They made a potential fix for crashing when transferring to the operator. A UI lockup if you viewed stats for a player that had never killed anything ever. A crash that could occur in a survival mission. A crash that could occur in a defection rescue mission. They fixed the ability to apply a toxin status effect on yourself when using Saren and casting Toxic Lash while using an AoE weapon. The profile star chart progress showing an outrageous number of total nodes. Domestic drones being hidden when in the Manticore interface. And they fixed a script error when removing a decoration in the clan dojo. So that was the patch notes for hotfix 27.3.1, 0.3.2, 0.3.3, 0.3.4, and 0.3.5. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.